not gonna meet you nowhere. First of all, I don't need to meet trustee Steve's anywhere. I know how to talk to the department head. I've been on this board the longest, so you need to learn respect, young man.
Hi everyone, welcome back. As promised, we're taking another trip down memory lane to understand why some residents of Dolton once placed their trust in this seemingly graceful, articulate, and charming young woman Tiffany Henyard. But let's be honest, it's a mess. Things went south quickly. For those unfamiliar, Tiffany Henyard is the former mayor of Dolton, Illinois, and the ex-supervisor of Thornton Township. Today, we're revisiting her earlier days, back when she was just a trustee. Specifically, we'll start with a 2020 board meeting, just before she stepped into the mayor's office. Back then, trustee Tiffany Henyard often portrayed herself as a fierce advocate for the residents, proudly claiming she was fighting for what she believed was best for the people of Dolton.
You guys elected me to protect your money. That's what Tiffany does. Trustee Henyard, I protect the people's dollar. So you're gonna always hear my mouth. That don't mean that I'm against you or don't want to help you with your situation.
This board meeting is no exception. But before we dive in, let's set the scene. Once again, the topic at hand is the ongoing water bill situation in Dolton. Now, to be fair, trustee Tiffany Henyard had already managed to get an ordinance passed that prevented residents' water from being shut off on Fridays, Saturdays, or Sundays. Still, despite that win, issues with the billing process continued to surface. So, before we get into the details, if you're new here and enjoy the content, be sure to give this video a like. And for our returning subscribers, don't forget to hit that like button too. Let's get into it.
Hey, trustee, there's no other town in the Chicagoland area that says we're not cutting water off on Friday.
If you cut it off, they can't get it turned back on.
Let me finish.
It's not right. They're going to be the whole weekend without water. I don't think that's right. So why cut it off on Friday now? They can't go pay it Saturday to get it turned on. So now they off Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then when Monday come, they might not even get on the list. So it's screwed up. It's messed up. It's bad. It's terrible. That water department needs help, period. Think about it. Look how many department heads you done went through over there. It's terrible.
And be recognized.
So, like I said, she's just a bundle of joy, clearly a delight to be around. As you all can see, right before I paused the video, trustee Edward Steve started to chime in while Tiffany Henyard was in the middle of one of her signature rants, this time dragging the water department through the mud. Here's a fun detail. The woman sitting nearby, visibly unimpressed, actually works in the water department, and judging by her expression, she's clearly not thrilled about Tiffany publicly bashing her team. Honestly, the way Tiffany was talking so blatantly disrespectful to someone sitting just feet away is wild. I know, it's not funny to see someone treated that way, but I can't help but laugh at the absurdity of it all. The fact that she behaved like this in official board meetings and somehow got away with it every time is just mind-blowing. But before we get to trustee Edward Steve's reaction to Tiffany's behavior, let's take a moment to explore some of the hypocrisy at play here. I often highlight how different Tiffany Henyard was as a trustee compared to her actions as mayor. She used to say versus what she says now. And for this, we're going further back, way back to 2014. When she was just elected as a fresh-faced trustee, eager to make a difference in Dolton. I found a clip of her talking about water bills back then, and let me tell you it's quite the contrast to what she's saying in the 2020 meeting. Let's take a look.
Basically what I'm implementing is to put the water bill in a tenant's name. You rent from someone in the village of Dolton, the tenant and the landlord can go to the village and get the water bill in the tenant. Basically it's making people accountable, making people responsible, because when the bill is in your name, you normally pay it. If it's in the landlord's name, you normally don't pay it. That's really all this ordinance is saying. And basically it's also bringing money to the village, which before we wasn't getting $25. They have to put down security deposit of $25 in order to...
I'm sure you guys can see the hypocrisy here. On one hand, she's fighting to prevent residents from having their water shut off on certain days. On the other, she's pushing for the water bills to be put directly in the residents' names, so they can be held fully responsibly and so the village can secure its revenue. At the end of the day, it's all about accountability, or at least that's how she frames it. But honestly, 2020 trustee Henyard seems to completely contradict 2014 trustee Henyard. Back then, she appeared more concerned about protecting residents from harsh penalties. Now, it's more about enforcing consequences. Personally, I don't think anyone should be penalized for missing a payment by just a few days, but what do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Now, let's keep it moving and take a look at what then Mayor Riley Rogers had to say about trustee Tiffany Henyard's proposal.
It's multiple functions to put this into the tenant's name. You put it in the tenant's name. We're way behind on our technology in regards to the software and computer stuff that we got in the water department. So the tenant comes in, it's in the owner's name from the beginning. Changes tenant, we have to change the water bill, which is a data entry process, to the tenant's name. And then the tenant moves out, we have to change it again. If the tenant moves out, leaves the balance, we have to change it again and change the tenant in for the landlord for the money. This is multi-function, and we don't have enough personnel in the water department now, and we don't have the technology in the water department to actually take on the position.
I think we do, and I think that's the problem. Like we keep everything old, we need to get with the times. So that's why I ran, that's why I'm on this board, because I like to implement the stuff that other villages implement is working for them. I do believe it will work for the village, and I do think that the board is in agreement with this.
I'm not saying we should do things to advance the progression of the village. I'm just saying there's a cost of doing things, and when you've got a village like Calumet City that has 37,000 residents versus our village that has 23,000 residents, and also we're looking at a $16 million budget in comparison to a larger budget in Calumet City, which they may be able to afford to do this thing. And there's a cost to every time, whatever we change the cost to, and which requires also manpower personnel.
The mayor explained that implementing Tiffany Henyard's idea would complicate the current process, especially since the village is already short-staffed. He also pointed out that it would likely require a costly software upgrade to make it work. Honestly, I agree with the mayor on this one, but I also understand where trustee Henyard was coming from when she said the village needs to get with the times, because let's face it, much of the system is outdated. Still, saying it is one thing, actually budgeting for it is another. Every year, the village has a set budget to work with, and something tells me that if it came down to allocating extra funds to the water department for those necessary upgrades, trustee Henyard might not be so supportive. Based on her past behavior being demanding and often unwilling to compromise, I can easily imagine her pushing back when it came time to vote. What do you think? Would she actually approve the funds needed for these upgrades, or would she fall back into grandstanding and opposing anything the mayor proposed? Let me know in the comments. If we really think about it, the pattern becomes clear. She tends to fight battles that align with her personal ambitions. Back in 2014, she was newly elected, not yet worried about re-election, and focused more on appearing fiscally responsible than pushing for resident-focused ordinances. Or at least, that's how she framed it. But as with any politician, it's hard to know what the true intentions are. Alright, now let's head back to the 2020 board meeting and hear what trustee Ed Steve had to say about Tiffany Henyard's latest outburst because, as I've said before, he never let her public tantrums slide without calling them out.